Rachel Nichols here. Don't go out there. I'm like, don't go out if you hear strange noises at night. Don't go out there if it's too hot. Don't go out there if it's too cold. Don't go out there if you don't want to. Just don't go out there. Don't go out there. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay as sane as you possibly can. And maybe I'll see you again sometime. Ah.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode.
All right, guys, let's get into the film review. We're concluding Sci-Fi Month this week with Brother Dustin's pick. Dustin, you want to announce your pick and why you picked it?
Yeah, basically, I just wanted to see Brian's head explode. But I picked 2013's Under the Skin. I watched this movie for the first time on February 18th of this year, or last year. Depends on when this episode releases, I guess, because we are at the end of the year. Anyway, I was newly on my A24 journey, and I saw ScarJo was in it, so I had to watch it. There's literally only two celebrities that I feel confident in saying that I'm actually in love with, Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh, so I had to watch it. Anyway, it was film number 14 out of 171 A24 movies to date that I've watched. This movie's weird. It's so unique that I was captivated throughout, and like I said, I had to pick it to see if Brian's head would actually explode on air. And I know I said that Knock Knock was the scariest movie we've covered because I 100% would fall for that trap. But this one's so much worse. Like, ScarJo could convince me to do literally anything. So this is my worst nightmare.
Yeah, I get that. I got to be honest, I wasn't a big fan. At the end of the movie, I hate to say it, but I put it in my notes. I kind of felt like how I did at the end of I Saw the TV Glows. Like, they're trying to say something, but I don't know what it is, and it didn't work for me. I feel like the movie was like an hour and almost 50 minutes, and I left thinking not much happened. I appreciated Scarlett Johansson's vulnerableness, but this is not one that I'm going to be turning back on ever again. Brian, go ahead.
Yes, this movie gave me a migraine. I almost actually died. But yeah, I dislike this exponentially. I realize it's based on a book that I have not read, but I would like to guess that the book is actually better. Look, I can appreciate the performance from Scarlett. She's very deserving of the award she received from this movie. 2013 nomination for Best Actress by the British Film Gotham CFCA Awards, amongst others. And I can appreciate the premise. An alien preying on people while wearing human skin, but falling for the lure of being human. I'm usually in. By the way, that always reminds me of the beginning of Men in Black. Edgar, your skin is hanging off your bones. I love that shit. Problem to me here is that this movie feels like it could have been 15 minutes long. And the other hour and 30 is driving around people watching. Michael Faber apparently developed this movie for over a decade. And truthfully, I can't figure out what exactly he did for 10 years. Has there been a bigger waste of time not named the Jacksonville Jaguars organization? I'm not sure. But an hour and 48 minutes that feels like 5 hours, and cinematography that makes me feel like I'm watching my neighbor's 10-year-old son's movie he made in the backyard. isn't for me.
That
Well,
last part was crazy.
Because I actually was that 10-year-old neighbor that made movies back in the yard. That's why I said that. But anyway, couple that with being a box office failure, which I can totally see why. But hey, it's A24, and as everyone that A24 fans like to say, I just don't get it.
I just don't get it.
Oh, okay. So first watch, or it's a first time watch, so you know the rules as far as my notes go. I had never even heard of this movie. Okay. But I was excited when I saw the plot and I saw that Scarlett Johansson was going to be in it. Plus, you guys kind of tipped me off to what I was expecting from Scarlett Johansson. I was like, hey, I'm all in on this, brother. That's where about the excitement ends for me. I will save my main thoughts for the end because I feel like it could get a little scathing. But this was a drag to get through, man. Like, you could say I just didn't get it, but no, I think I do. You know, an alien in human skin that preys on people. At the end, she kind of has a little bit of a change of heart, even though she's in it. Like, again, like Nico said, this movie's trying to say something, but I have no idea what it's trying to say. It's a drag, even with the short run time. I think this is, and I put it, and I'll say it again at the end, this is one of those fart sniffing movies, man. Just made it so you can you just made it so you could self-indulge yourself. And so that sounds a little scathing off the front, but it's not all bad, but it is a drag. I am looking forward to talking about it with you guys because I always do that. So I'd say some good stuff, mostly bad though.
Like I said, y'all just don't get it. It's fine.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
All right, I'm doing the scene by scene. Does anyone have anything else to say about this? By the way, it's a very short scene by scene every time. I don't know what you guys took notes on, but I do not envy you guys. Anything? I'm sorry, I didn't even give you the opportunity. Anything else before we
No,
start?
I'm good.
Let's
Okay.
get it.
All right. After nearly a 4-minute opening that involves a bright light and the voice of someone sounding out letters in the background, we finally see a close-up of an eyeball. And after 4 minutes and 26 seconds, we get a title card. We cut to Glasgow, where we see a motorcyclist retrieve a seemingly inert young woman from the roadside and place her in the back of a van. We then cut to a bright white room with no detail at all, where we see a very naked Scarlett Johansson, only known as the female, take her clothes, and we see the other female has her face as well, as a tear streams down her face. We then head to a shopping center where our female does something Scarlett Johansson has probably never done herself, purchase her own clothes and makeup. Back in the van, cruising the streets where we spend a lot of this movie, we figure out she's scoping for guys, single, and won't be missed. She picks up a dude and lures him into an old, dilapidated house with the promise of that Black Widow booty. But as he undresses, following her into the Black Abyss, Room of Death, he and his visible boner are submerged into some liquid, and he sinks below the surface.
I mean, that's what happens.
It is.
All right, I thought it was a slow opening up until title card, but I did think the score was haunting. I say that a lot about the score. I think they actually get that right throughout the whole movie. Scarlett is in the whitest room I've seen since covering Black Mirror. Where is this purgatory? What is it? Maybe I should have done more research into it, but I'm not reading the whole book to watch a movie. Sorry. Pretty convenient. This woman's clothes and shoes fit her perfectly. Just a minor nitpick. Nothing to really hate on the movie about. I just noticed it. Bear with me. This is a long fun fact about Scarlett Johansson and the nudity. She talked about her deciding to go nude for the film during a press conference. I think in some ways you have to look at the nudity and sort of assume that it's going to be a screenshot for someone, and you kind of have to weigh the value of the risk that you're taking. You know, is this gratuitous? Is this a vanity project? Is this an important part of this character's journey to self-discovery? What's the game? She ultimately decided it was the right for the character and worth the risk. She then added, I'm not a provocative person. It's not like I live to be photographed in the buff or anything like that. And not being provocative led to some apprehension when being asked to strip totally naked. It really made me aware of when I was doing it, all the kinds of judgment and all of those things we place on ourselves, how self-conscious you can be about the way you look, your own vanity. It was really challenging, but it was interesting, like, really am self-conscious about this, or I'm holding on to this idea I should look like that. We all have it. I guess as a woman, we have it more. I don't know. This is 99% of guys' dreams come true, though, getting picked up by Scarlett Johansson without knowing her true intentions, that is. The men lured into the van by Scarlett Johansson's character were not actors. Jonathan Glazer had hidden cameras installed in the van and only informed the men afterwards that they were in a movie. I thought that was really cool. Where is it exactly with these two undressing? It's just an empty black abyss. No clue why bro with the stiffy walks into the water and keeps going while she's just walking on water like Jesus. Turn around. What is going on here? I thought the opening has been slow and monotonous, honestly, but I'm still hopeful due to Scarlett.
None of these people recognize Scarlett Johansson.
It was the dark hair.
Now, here's the thing, Nico. You said that's 99% of guys' dreams, not knowing her true intentions, whatever. Yeah, I'm still getting in the van. She can tell me she's going to kill me and abduct me. Yeah, I'm still getting in the van.
You mean
That's fair.
you mean all my problems get to go away after this? Go ahead, Dustin.
All right. That was an insanely long open. Like over 4 minutes of just creepy sounds and then an eyeball. Then we get a very Kubrick-esque shot of the motorcycle traveling down the winding road. So already in this movie, I'm like, Brian's going to hate this. And when it gets going, what's happening? Like we see naked ScarJo stripping a paralyzed chick and still in her clothes in a blindingly white room with no discernible walls, floors, or ceiling. No clue what's going on. Like I don't. But it's odd enough and intriguing enough that I can't look away. And the lack of dialogue really only adds to the mystique for me. I mean, we're 14 minutes into the film before we hear a character speak. So, I don't know. I just couldn't look away. The subtle score is great, too. Like, it's a very creepy sounding score, and it's just so faint at times that it's very effective. Buddy sinking into the floor as she just keeps walking. That's a trip. Like I said, at this point, my first watch, I'm like, I still have no idea what's happening. But that's wild. Whatever it is I'm seeing, that's crazy. And then, obviously that's the abduction. That's puts them in a trance and abducts them. So, I don't know. It's an interesting open. I kind of like it.
I actually have to agree with Brian here. This is a really long opening for no reason at all. It also plays like that one scene in that episode of SpongeBob where it's like the Krabby or the Krusty Krab training episode where it's like this long light that goes, put it up, you know what I'm talking about? That's how this reads. And I thought it was actually really funny. And again, this like alien robot thing was really like me trying to say words on the show. No. Like that's how it sounded just like me trying to do scene by scene. So I completely understand how this thing was struggling, man. It's a struggle out here when you try to make your S's and T's work. Come on. Also, I hate the inner looking of eyeballs. One of my least favorite things. Can't stand it. Don't know why. Just don't like to look at an eyeball real close. And of course, we focus on this eyeball for a minute and a half of this opening. So that was super fun. Then we get a shot of nature, which again, shout out to Brian. And, I kept thinking every day is a winding road. I just wanted to shout out Sheryl Crow because they were driving down a winding road there. This is way too long of an opening where nothing happens. This is a legitimate 6 minutes of the film. And then the first thing we see is to drag a dead woman ass first out of the woods. Can't wait to see how the rest of this movie goes. Look, I can't avoid it despite my rep on this show and the Apple comments. These are ScarJo boobies, right? We have to at least acknowledge it. Then we can move on, right? Okay, great. And she puts on wet clothes, I'm assuming. I know that's got to be miserable. I know that's the worst because there ain't nothing worse than being stuck in wet clothes. This movie does use quiet really well to keep my level of suspense up. The lack of sound, and then you're going right into a shopping mall. You're hit with an explosion of sound. I thought that was pretty well done. This man giving directions has one of the thicker accents I've heard. Honestly, I kind of had a hard time understanding what he was saying. Also, I know she's an alien, but she can't follow directions for anything, man. She gets lost. I'm like, what? Are you listening to anything anybody is saying? Also, what's with the sock in the window that this guy puts in there? Is that a sock? A scarf? Something?
Scarf.
He puts something in the window. Scarf? Yeah, he puts a scarf in the window. Sorry. It looks like a pair of those really warm, fuzzy Christmas socks, so I misunderstood there. But he puts a scarf in the window. Never explained. Just scarf in the window. Maybe that's a cultural thing. I don't know. LOL, man ass, which the John Lennon picture was sent by Dustin already in the group chat during this episode. So I just want to point that out.
Don't Google that.
Don't. Or you could, because man ass is hilarious. Last thing. This man thought he had ScarJo and then had to disappear into the Black Lagoon. That really is maybe the toughest day at the office. Dustin already mentioned knock knock. This is worse. This is so much worse. That's all I had.
Hey,
I missed it. Were these first time watch notes for you, or did you really not know that she wasn't really asking for directions?
Huh? No, this is first time watch.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. We're back in the van now and headed to the beach where a girl is waiting on a male emerging from the water in a wetsuit. They are interrupted, though, by the cries of a man trying to rescue his wife, who is trying to rescue a dog being pulled out to sea. The swimmer rescues the man and crashes, exhausted, back on the beach as the man immediately rushes back into the water to save his wife, all three drowning, leaving only baby on the shore alone. That actually was disturbing. As the swimmer lies exhausted on the beach, the woman strikes his head with a rock, drags him to the van, and drives away, ignoring the couple's distraught baby. Later that evening, we then see the motorcyclist from the start pull up, and he retrieves the swimmer's belongings, also ignoring the baby, who is still left crying on the beach in a heart-wrenching situation. Back in the van, a man hangs out the window at a red light and tries to flirt with the woman. She follows them to a nightclub, and it's not long before she's picked him up as well, and they're well on their way back to the Myers house. There, in the black abyss room of death, we see the same scenario play out as this guy is also sucked into the liquid abyss, boner and all. This time, we see suspended beneath the surface as he sees the swimmer's body floating naked beside him as well, alive but bloated and immobile. When he reaches to touch him, the swimmer's body collapses into a bag of skin with all the swimmer's insides emptied into what can only be described as a trough resembling the bathrooms at Doak Campbell Stadium. Edgar, your skin is falling off your bones.
More sugar water.
All right, this beach and mountainside view is beautiful. The film was shot all over England and Scotland, so I do apologize for not knowing the exact location, but all of it was beautiful. Horrifying scenario for a real-life situation, witnessing a dog or person drown in the ocean. Personally, I'm terrified of the ocean. That's nightmare fuel for me. And damn, Scott, why are you cracking this guy across the skull for? Wasn't possibly drowning enough for this guy? Damn, this lady's cruel. Listening to a crying baby is probably as scary as the ocean, though, to be honest, or getting abducted by a hot alien in disguise, so I get that. Terrifying seeing this little baby alone on the beach at nighttime, though. That's true horror for a parent. Couldn't imagine that. Another nightclub scene with strobing lights that are about to blind me. Please, future filmmakers, stop it with this. I'm not even at risk for seizures, but I just hate watching it. Are these men hypnotized, under the influence? What's going on? Why do they keep walking deeper into this water while she stays on top of the water? And why can't they just turn around and back out? I kept asking that.
They're being abducted. They're in a trance.
All right, that's fair. And no clue what just happened to Buddy after the snapping noise. Did all his bones dissolve? It looks like a plastic bag. It looks like a plastic bag in the wind right now. Shout out to Katy Perry. If you know, you know.
Yeah, the beach scene is something. I mean, gorgeous scenery, but it's a really slow stretch until she, grabs a rock and cracks the guy's head. It was here. I'm not gonna lie. It was right here that I paused the movie to try to find something online that could explain what's going on. Cinema Explained on YouTube has a great video that explains the movie in 3 minutes, and it makes the movie so much more enjoyable. I'll admit, maybe I wasn't smart enough to grasp it on my own. Like I didn't know really what I was watching. Oh, she's an alien. The guy on the motorcycle is an alien, and they abduct men. Got it. So then I resumed the film, and knowing what I'm seeing, I don't know, I understood it more, and it helped. It's interesting to see the woman interact with humans and really not understand human nature or why they're doing the things they do. But then the guy in the club, he did the scariest thing I've ever seen. He talked to an attractive girl and asked her to have a drink and dance. No, thanks. I just point out the fine women to my friends. We share a nod, and then we continue hanging out with ourselves. Nope. But we do get another cool abduction scene here. And this is precisely why I don't talk to women at bars. This could happen at any time. That's how scary it is. The effects when the guys deflate, that's crazy. Not sure I've ever seen anything quite like it. But yeah, I'm still heavily invested in the movie.
Man, 3 minutes is about as long as the movie needed to be. The rest of it. So I get that. It turns out I do get the movie. Shocker.
Yeah, no, not really.
Man, these guys went surfing at a time like this. Sounds like a terrible idea. This guy's surfing. And be careful around ScarJo, bro, because it'll be the last time you ever see your Johnson. Okay, that it is going under. That is a hard time. And oops, look at that, he's dead. Tough times. I'm not gonna lie, a crying baby. Holy shit, man! In the words of Cleveland Brown, what the hell's wrong with you? That's a Family Guy reference, anyway. I will say it did add a sense of horror/terror that wasn't there before. A kid, a baby kind of crying all alone is like, dang, that's terrifying. And that's always going to get me. This, I will say, it looks like she's trying to leave the scene of a crime there, but this big group of girls stop her. That is like when all of your friends want to go out and you just want to go home and go to bed and they still kind of rope you into it. That's how this felt to me. And then again, another man makes a grave error. Okay. Now your Johnson is gone to the Black Lagoon forever. By the way, speaking of this movie, I know what my screen name says here, but this movie has way too much Johnson in it, brother. There is a lot of Johnson in this movie. I'm trying to be a little more PG by using the term Johnson. There's a lot here.
We need to put a counter in the bottom of the screen. It's like that episode of South Park when they say shit ticks every time you say Johnson.
Hey, buddy. Last thing. Did this man just pop like a balloon? That is a tough way to die. Like, just poop, pop. You're done. That's a tough day at the office. That's all I had.
Well, you'll never guess it, but we're back in the fucking van again, where we see the woman receiving a rose from a street vendor, purchased by another man in traffic. We hear a radio report about the missing family from the beach as she notices blood on the flower from the vendor's cut hand and just ignores it. That's how you get AIDS, ma'am. After some very stimulating visuals of people just walking down the street, we've got another victim, and we follow him back into the house as well. But this time, we don't get to see the same scenario play out. We instead see the motorcyclist examining Scarlett, where I guess all appears to be good because he dips. But we do witness her fall down on the sidewalk, perhaps symbolizing, oh, yes, we've got a glitch in the Matrix. And these people watching is just making life here on Earth look pretty damn good, apparently. But alas, we are back in that goddamn van. This time, we see our van attacked by some hoodlums and eventually pick up a very timid man with facial tumors who seems to strike up an empathetic bone in our host. This time, she goes through the same scenario, but upon leaving the Black Abyss Room of Death, the alien's heart grew 3 sizes that day as she sees herself in the mirror and Fly trying to escape through a window. Symbolization there. And she lets the now naked tumor man go. More Johnson for you, Mike.
Yeah, I touched on all the Johnsons too. But before that, I had no clue that Scotland had folks who deliver roses in standstill traffic. That's a brilliant business idea, to be honest. But if you buy one for a stranger in traffic, you got to attach your number, your Snapchat, your IG. You got to do something, right? Like, what is this guy doing? Like, you just going to give her the look and hope she knows who you are? 42 minutes in this movie, and the monotony is starting to hit hard. Scarlett in a van over and over. How is there still over an hour left of this? I hope something pops off. And I kind of did the same thing you do, Mike. On first watch, I did my notes, and I did rewatch it again, but it didn't really change much, to be honest with you. Back in the Black Abyss, and this seduction scene drags, but it was unexpected to see Buddy walk away from her and not chase. I liked it. This fall scene took off on social media. Per IMDb, a paparazzi still of Scarlett Johansson in character falling down became a wildly popular internet meme in which users would Photoshop Johansson into various situations. I don't really remember that, to be honest with you. As the scene was shot with hidden cameras, it was not until the movie's release that it was revealed the fall was intentional. I haven't seen anything else by director Jonathan Glazer, but I have to ask, what is the point of all these shots of the city, the people, the nightlife? Where is this going and what are we doing? Finally, a little action. Not happy a group of animals were trying to rob a woman, but it at least woke me up some, but even that was anticlimactic because she drove away so casually and unfearful. The man picked up by Scarlett here is Adam Pearson. He was in another A24 movie this year, like Dustin mentioned, A Different Man. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll let Dustin comment on if the film is good or not. But I think he gave it honorable mention in our top 10 show, so I guess it is pretty decent. We'll continue to praise the score, though. I thought the score was very spooky and menacing throughout. And I think my man Jack Rayner should have watched this movie before Midsummer. I think there's plenty of guys dick swinging. I don't think he even had to go bloody dick swinging out that house. And honestly, I have no idea what's going on at the moment, and I don't think it's my fault, really.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's your fault at all, brother Nico. Look, this movie tried to make me feel sympathy for these guys getting stuck in the Black Lagoon, or I know it's water, but man, the way it's shot, it looks like black goo to me. Like the ooze that was coming out of the Ultimate Warrior's head from Papa Shango. That's how this stuff looks. Anyway, they tried to make me feel bad for these guys, but then we find out one of them's married with a family. Man, I don't know. I know ScarJo's smoking. You risked it, Bubba. You gotta go. Hey, that's your own fault. I have no sympathy for you. That's the way it goes. And Nico, you touched on it. Why do we get this random abstract art drug-induced scene in the middle of this movie where it's ScarJo's face with all these different lightings and stuff? Like, it was trippy, and I'm glad I didn't watch this on acid or anything. Not that I would know what that's like. Look, I'm not trying to be ugly. Is this man with tumors wearing a prosthetic, or is this an actor with tumors?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, I'll
That's
hold
how
my
he
tongue
looks.
then. Okay, I'm not going to comment any further on that. He actually does a really great job in this film, which would probably be very, very difficult to do. I will say, pun fully intended here, but if she made one of us touch her neck, it's Jover. Thank you. I'll be here all week. This poor man was just trying to get in his first time. And then, good for her, she lets him go. What a sweet alien. Like Brian mentioned in Scene by Scene, very heart grew 3 sizes that day. But 2 things I want to comment on. And I know I talked about all the Johnson in this movie. There's another one to the ticker. 2 things. One, ScarJo is fully nude, so that's something. That's all I'll say there. And given my rep on the show, I can't just let it slide. Like, I can't just fully ignore it. It is what it is. I'm going to try to turn over a new leaf in the new year, but we're not in the new year yet. So ScarJo, fully nude, just a little bit of a heads up there. And number 2, last thing. This man with tumors was Goldberg from The Longest Yard. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the scene where she's with the motorcycle rider and they're just having a staring contest, it's confusing. In that YouTube video that I mentioned before, they explain that it's her being reprimanded and reminded of her mission, but I don't know, say that, explain it. Because as it is, it's just confusing. It makes it boring. Like, that scene was boring to me because he just walks around staring at her, not a word said, and they go their separate ways. You can see her confusion when she trips and people, help her up. Compassion is such a foreign thing for her. Like, she doesn't even know how to express gratitude. So when you consider all the growth of her character and how she kind of humanizes and she sees the world from her perspective with humans just existing in their own world, I do think it's very well done. I think that's nice. The gang of ruffians who are banging at her van, that's another thing that shows how non-human she is. Like, she didn't show any fear, didn't even comprehend that she may be in danger. She just calmly drives away. And then, Nico said the next guy she meets, 2-time A24 alum, Adam Pearson. He was in another good movie I saw this year, A Different Man with Sebastian Stan. He's great in that movie. And he's good in this one. Like, it's fine. And but in that movie, he has a much bigger role. So I recommend everyone go see that. It's a really good movie. And buddy, let me tell you, I'd be cooked. ScarJo takes my hand and rubs her cheek with it. I'd fold like origami. Like, it's over. And then the alien form is very disturbing looking. Like, we kind of see it here. It's like this black, shiny, leathery skin with no eyes. It's very, very creepy looking, but I wouldn't even let that stop me. It's Scarlett Johansson. Anyway. She has a long look in the mirror here in this kind of moral argument with herself, and she ends up letting the guy go. It's a great job building her character arc and showing that she's changing internally. So I'm along for the ride. I'm still liking it.
Letting the tumor man go did not go over well with the motorcycle mafia, and we see him intercept the naked tumor man and stuff him into the back of the trunk of his own car and drive away as the neighbors watch on. After seemingly going rogue, Black Widow is now on the run from S.H.I.E.L.D., and she is headed to the Scottish Highlands, where she abandons the van in some very dense fogs that seem to confuse her. We cut to a diner where she attempts to eat cake but pukes it all up over the table I feel the same way about Keg for the most part. And something tells me that this bitch didn't even leave a tip afterwards. But she heads to a bus stop where she meets a man who notices she needs some help and offers to do just that, to which she accepts. He takes her to the store and purchases some items and brings her home and cooks her the dinner, which she doesn't eat, as she's mesmerized by a comedian on the telly. The next day, the two take a walk and visit the ruins of a castle where we see some flirting and cutting back and forth between the two and the motorcycle mafia on the hunt. Back at the house, they kiss and begin to have sex, but as he puts it in, she abruptly jumps up, stopping the session, and sits on the side of the bed, examining her vag with a light as the man asks if she's okay.
Yep, and that really happened. All right, who's this guy on the motorbike, and what did he do to the deformed man? Like, did I just miss it? I don't know. Why foggy screen for? Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were legit asking. He caught up to him. He put him in the trunk.
I saw that, but why? I just why did he do that?
He's another alien. So their mission is to abduct men. So he got him. He didn't get away. He didn't live.
I got you. Okay. White foggy screen for over a minute straight. Cool. That'll help the pacing issues. No biggie. Scarlett at the restaurant is a nice change of scenery. I love the color saturation and the camera work. But why is her eating one bite of cake taking a damn eternity? Another beautiful countryside shot, but it drags as she walks up to the bus stop. Jonathan Glazer, my friend, I hope you learned some things since making this film. That's all I'm going to say. Incredibly brave and vulnerable move by Scarlett to get naked like this. Dustin and I touched on this as well in our The Substance reaction. I couldn't do it, but I commend her, and I give her big props for that. Complimenting the score again. Hard during this love-making scene. I have a lot of issues, but the score is not one of them for sure. This is very odd. I love the score cutting instantly, Scarlett's facial acting, and the awkwardness of the situation, but I am ready for the end.
Okay. Big issue here, and I know we've already explained that the man on the motorcycle is she's being chased by another alien. However, that's never touched. It's never said. It's never full out explained. It's just we're supposed to jump to that conclusion. And look, I don't need a movie to hold my hand the whole time. I like a movie that makes me think, but it's not making me think. It's making me ask, like, what is going on? That's a big difference between a movie that's like, that's deep. And it's just like, well, you're not telling me anything about what's happening on screen. It's just not explained up to this point. I mean, they could be pimps, drug lords, her brother, husband. Like, what is going on? And why is this scene so foggy? Like, I know where it takes place, but like, man, that's some thick fog. I thought it added a little creepiness, but the bad part is the foggy part happened while she's eating a piece of cake, which, by the way, completely disagree, Brian. Cake is great. However, cake can also be terrible and dry, and that is also a fact. Now, it does take a really long time, and by the way, you can't be coughing up food in front of families like this. We're at a restaurant. If you got some sickness going on, you got to get up and go to a different room. And it's like you can't be farting out loud, in the restaurant, which I know some people probably do, but I'm not going to do.
This reminds me of Mother, the review when you were like, everybody just needs to get the fuck out of my house right now.
It's true, though. That whole movie could have been avoided if nobody came over. That's all I'm saying. If everyone just stayed home instead of coming over to my house to have some cult party, that would have been great. Anyway, honestly, not a whole lot happened here prior to her getting naked, which, again, is very dare and bold by Scarlett. Like, I completely agree. That takes a lot of vulnerability. And at this point in her career, she's already a star. When this movie came out, like, it's not like she's some no name. So to be able to do that for a film, I thought was, bold and brave. Like I said, that sounds like I'm doing South Park. She's stunning and brave, but that's not what I meant. I promise. Wow. Chivalry, alive and well. He carried her across the water here. What a move. What a guy. What a gentleman. But my whole time, I'm like, don't kiss her, brother. Unless you have face tumors and she feels bad for you. This ends terribly. We've seen how many Johnsons have disappeared so far. I'm just kidding. I do understand what they're trying to do here. She kind of finally has someone that sees her as more than just this other, right? Like, she's not tricking this guy into, capturing him or anything like that. There's a little bit of a deeper connection here. The last thing I have, the old got to check the cooter via lamp is a toughie.
All right. I think if I was the deformed man, just to be honest with you, I'd rather she had just killed me I mean this with all due respect, but his deformity draws enough, eyeballs as is. Add to that, she just sent him walking home naked. Yeah, just kill me, dog. Motorcycle Man did him a favor. Seeing her eat cake was funny. Like, I bet tasting sweets would be a wild experience for someone who had never had them. But this section of the movie is a great look at her trying to humanize and adapt. My biggest takeaway from this set of scenes, though, is that I really want to try some of those Scottish Doritos. Tangy cheese, that one piqued my interest. I'd try that. But seeing her experience these new things, these new feelings is great. She, tapped her fingers to music. Probably the first time she's ever attempted to dance. She was scared when she was walking down the stairs to the castle. She looked honestly giddy when the sexy time scene started. Like, it's really great to see the character grow. I'm ready for the finish, although I guess not for the same reasons you guys are, but I'm excited to see how it wraps up.
Man, Motorcycle Man would have done her a favor if he'd have gotten him like right off the bat. But the dude waited until he got home. Like, he was already home. He'd already gone through all the people seeing his Johnson out walking the streets and the woods and the thorns and everything else. And then he's like, God damn, I'm finally home. Bam! Motorcycle Man. Man, fuck that guy.
I know, we're all.
Dude, this episode has definitely set the bar for how many times Johnson has been said.
Johnson and Johnson.
Until we review the strange thing about the Johnsons.
Yeah, of course.
I can't wait for Brian to see that. You're lucky I changed my birthday bonus to horror hot takes, Brian.
Brian may turn that off after the first reveal and say, fuck that, I'm not doing it.
Shout out Ari Aster.
God damn it, Ari Aster. All right, here's the finish here. We cut to the next day where we see Scarlett now wandering into the forest. And look, I don't know if that man had such either bad dick or good dick. Either way, he sent her on a fucking crusade into the woods afterwards or whatever. Or what? But she's gone. She's been walking seemingly for a while because she's wet from the rain. There in the woods, she runs across a commercial logger who is by himself for some reason and tries to engage her in conversation as she blows him off and directs her to some shelter, telling her it's a good place to rest and collect her thoughts. She heads that way and falls asleep, only to wake up to the logger molesting her, rubbing her leg. She wakes up and bolts into the woods, but he catches up and now attempts to full-on rape her. He tears at her skin and it gives way, revealing, like Dustin mentioned, the featureless alien-like body. As we see the creature then remove herself from the skin suit, the man douses her in fuel and burns her alive. We see the motorcyclist look across a snowy field while the alien body burns, and somehow that's the fucking end of the movie. Go ahead.
All right, I apologize to listeners, but I really don't have much to say so far. Scarlett has walked away from her guy at the house, walked through the woods, and stumbled into a bothy, as Wikipedia calls it. Basically just a basic shelter kept open for people to use as needed for protection from storms. And this is uncomfortable. I absolutely hate watching sexual assault scenes in films, which is why I'll never be the one to pick I Spit on Your Grave or The Last House on the Left. I don't like those movies. They're not comfortable. Those kind of horror movies just aren't my favorite at all. This is a hell of a twist, though, with her skin splitting in her back. What the hell is going on? I thought it was quite the visual. The featureless all-black creature, which was confirmed by director Jonathan Glazer to be an extraterrestrial, just staring at Scarlett's face. I thought that was a good look. That logger said, this weirdo needs to die immediately. Lights are on fire and runs off. Jesus, man. I honestly have no clue what this movie was about. I've read critics' themes on gender identity, sexual identity, etc. But personally, this feels like I saw the TV glow to me where it tried to say something, but for me, it ended up saying nothing. But shout out to Scarlett Johansson. Sorry, Dustin. Love you, brother.
Man, I think we can all shout out Scarlett Johansson for sure. By the way, this movie, I meant to put it in my open, but I'll put it here. This movie has nature shots galore. Shout out to Brian, brother. I know this is his favorite part of the film for sure. Again, this man that she confronts as she runs into the woods is treating this this forest or woods like a Disney park, man. Like he's a tour guide or something. It's okay. And for about 4.5 minutes, she's just walking around the woods. What is this? Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 1, where they're just walking around the woods for no reason like that. All right, man. Again, yeah. See, I'm not wrong. I love Deathly Hallows Part 2, but Part 1 is like just walking around here. Hermione's screaming at everybody. Anyway, this was uncomfortable. This assault scene, like Nico mentioned, always going to be uncomfortable. I agree with him completely. I'll never pick I Spit on Your Grave. I'll never pick Last House on the Left because of the uncomfortableness. Now, look, if we review it, that's, obviously at some point we should probably review those because they're classics. But I'm never picking them. So, and this was just as uncomfortable to me. And even her skin splitting, a little bit of a twist. We kind of expected that she was an alien. Obviously, it's, touched on at least a little bit. But, to kind of see that true alien form, I thought was interesting. I like the way that it looked, but I just don't like the ending. Like, I get the under the skin, tagline, but it's just not enough of that. It's explained. We're all supposed to fill in the blank. And again, there's movies that do that really well, and I just don't think this is one of them. Don't like the ending. I'm not really sure what this movie was trying to say. I think it was trying to say a bunch of little things and ended up saying a whole lot of nothing, me personally. But, yep, that's all I had.
Yeah, the worst and most uncomfortable scene in the movie happens here when, she's awakened by the creep groping her and he catches up her in the woods and full on assaults her. That's the ugly side of humanity. This movie touches on a lot of the human experience. That's the ugly side. She's experienced so much of the good in the second half of this movie, and then it gets disgusting. But she's saved when her skin rips, and her alien blood thankfully scares him away. Really cool visual of her taking her human skin off. Oh, and JK, she's not saved. The lunatic comes back and douses her with gas and sets her on fire. It reminds me of that viral tweet from a few years ago where the guy said, me and my friends would have killed E.T. with hammers, I can tell you that much. Like, buddy just met an alien and tried to rape it and set it on fire. Humanity is doomed. I really wish there would have been a payoff from the other alien on the motorcycle and his manhunt. Like, it really rendered that pointless when she was given the Salem witch trials treatment. Like, he's searching for her, and never finds her because, she's dead now. But overall, I did think the movie was solid.
Well. The old non-A24 guy understanding a movie just as much as 2 of the 3 A24 guys on this show.
Just not appreciating it, though, because he doesn't like art.
Just not appreciating it. That could have left it at that.
I don't have anything on Instagram. Do we got anything on Facebook or X or Blue Skies?
Yeah, I'm going to say it probably not, because I don't think anyone's ever heard of this movie, but let me look.
I think it's kind of slept on.
Yeah. Oh, we do have one. Oh, okay. Yeah, we got one on X, artist formerly known as Twitter. That guy at Millhouse14108. This is a very interesting film that took more than one watch to fully wrap my head around it. Another A24 banger. Behath, I'm sure, is pumped. Can't wait to... Can't talk about this film without admitting how many times you paused it just saying Scarlet with a shocked face. That's his comments, not ours. A little slow at times, but 7 out of 10 for me. We would never comment on a woman's appearance on this show.
Did he pause it for the Johnsons?
Yeah. You'll have to let us know, Millhouse.
Yeah, let us know.
Was it Scarlett Johansson or Johnson? You pick.
Dustin, Brian, got any fun facts you want to share? I don't have any this week. I put mine in the old scene by scene.
I got a couple. Okay. So Adam Pearson was cast after the production team contacted Changing Faces, a charity supporting people with facial disfigurement. His ideas about how Scarlett Johansson's character could seduce his character were added to the script. So that's cool. Like, he was more than just an on-screen appearance. Absolutely. Like, he influenced it. Ava Green, Gemma Arterton, January Jones, Abby Cornish, and Olivia Wilde were considered to play the female. It was Scarlett Johansson who stayed on board for the project for 4 years before it reached completion. In an interview with The Guardian to mark the start of the 2023 Venice Film Festival, the event's artistic director, Alberto Barbera, said the world premiere of this movie was one of the worst screenings I've attended, quote. He added it was the only time that the audience booed a film and that Scarlett Johansson was almost in tears. Let me tell you, if I was there and people were booing her movie, I'd have fought every one of them.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
I would not do that.
Why booing anybody's movie is just fucked up, especially at a festival.
We'll crap on it on this show, but let's not stand.
Nah, fuck that. Don't let me be at Halloween Ends premiere. I'd have booed the fuck out of it.
No, that's so fucked up.
I'd have went and fought David Gordon Green if I saw him.
Yeah, this film took nearly 10 years to be made, and one of the early drafts of the scripts included a Scottish married couple who were revealed to be aliens in disguise. Brad Pitt was at the time cast as one half of the couple. Personally, I think Ethan Hawke would have been better, but or Ed Norton, either one. And then the last one I got is that Scarlett Johansson was, of course, in Eight-Legged Freaks with David Arquette, episode 286. Don'tGoOutThere.com.
I forgot she was in that.
Yeah, me too.
Dude, Eight-Legged Freaks was good. I like that, man. That's funny.
Dude. Yeah, that's a lot
I'm
of
glad.
fun. That's fun.
Brian, you
All
have any
right.
fun facts?
Negative.
All right.
All right. Well, let's see. Under the Skin was made for $13,300,000. And like mentioned in the beginning from Brian, this movie was a box office flop, $7.5 million worldwide at the box office. So not a great outing for A24, but this is before their ball really started to get rolling, in fairness. We were about, 3 or 4 years away from Hereditary at the time. So,
Yeah, this was one of their first releases.
right.
And let me tell you, it's not. It's if you hated this movie, it's nowhere near as bad as I think what their first movie was. A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan. The worst movie I think I've ever seen.
Do not pick it.
I mean, I've got my list pulled up right here. It's literally A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan the Third, and then
The third.
Men, and Dix the Musical. That's the 3 worst movies.
I'm glad we don't get to pick any of those. Thank you.
This
Oh,
Man, it's a horror movie.
Men is horror.
That's so A24. Dix the musical.
It is
All right.
exactly what you're thinking too.
Johnson the musical. All right. So what? Go ahead, Nico. Take over.
All right. Favorite kill, least favorite kill in the rating. Dustin, you want to go first so you can write all our scores down?
Yeah. So favorite kill, least favorite kill. Look, I don't have one. I don't know how you could, to be honest with you. And if you guys did, hats off to you. But yeah, as far as my thoughts in the rating, though, it's weird in the best kind of way to me because it constantly had me trying to figure out what the hell I was watching, and it held my attention. It was chock full of gorgeous shots and imagery. And once you figure out what's happening, I think the story is solid. I just wish it was more explicitly stated what we were seeing unfold. That doesn't take me out of it, though. I like it enough to give it 7 3/4.
All right, I'll go next. I agree with everything Dustin just said, except I didn't like it as much. Sorry, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't like you. I think just if y'all listen to this show, you know I like weirder movies, but I really just didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, I wish they would have kind of gave us more of an idea of what we were getting ourselves into. I did have a favorite kill though, her kill. I mean, just getting lit on fire. I thought that was cool. Least favorite kill, you can just pick any of the guys who fell into the Black Lagoon and we never heard from them again. Yeah, I think it's just a movie. I gave it a 5. It's just a movie.
I'll go before Brian because I feel like he's had to talk the whole time here, so I'll give him a little break. My favorite kill is actually the balloon pop man there in the Black Lagoon. I thought that was kind of a cool visual effect. My least favorite is ScarJo because I didn't want to see her die, man. I know she was in alien form at that point, but come on, man. We got to save ScarJo from death. All right. So this movie really does kind of define A24 as a studio, right? And what I mean by that is it is allowing creators and movie makers the freedom to kind of do as they please and make the films they want. Sometimes that is a beautiful thing, and other times it is not. To me, this is a fart sniffer of a movie. It is self-indulgent in a way that an Oscar bait movie is. It's going out of its way to try and deliver a deep message in a movie that almost, to me, has zero entertainment value. It feels like it's just artsy for the sake of being artsy, which I kind of have touched on in my view of like abstract art. I feel like we're just putting stuff on a canvas to put stuff on a canvas, and it doesn't move me like it does other people. And if it does you, that's great. I say this as someone who does often like A24 movies, by the way. This was a miss, big miss to me. I don't need a film to hold my hand the entire time, but you have to fill in some of the gaps for me to follow along and for it to make sense. And to me, this movie just didn't deliver on that premise. There are some good shots. There's some good visuals. The acting is good. It's a well-made film. It just doesn't move the needle for me. I gave this movie a 4.25.
Okay. My favorite kill, the guy whose skin fell off his bones. Least favorite kill, tumor guy who got thrown in the car after finally make it home. What a dick move. And again, Michael Faber, Jonathan Glazer, 10 years? Like, the only explanation for this is that he kept forgetting what he'd already filmed and kept saying, like, you know what would be good here? More van and more people watching. That's the only thing that I can think of. This is just, it's boring to me. I can imagine it probably reads better than we get on film. I don't know. But hey, art is subjective. So are movies. I go to the movies to be entertained. This is about as entertaining to me as watching grass grow. I mentioned it, performance from Scarlett Johansson is the only redeeming quality I can see here. And I'm giving this one a flat 2.
All right. That gives the second
I feel like
positive.
Dustin was on a heater for a while there, though. I was loving all of his picks. This one just, I can't get on board with you, brother.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You can be wrong. That gives us a composite score of a 4.75. Hey, listen, I did my part. Like, I'm in line with Rotten Tomatoes has it at 83%. IMDb 6.3, Letterboxd 3.6. So you guys are just
I
wrong.
don't get it. I don't get it. I just
I know
don't
you
get
don't.
it.
That's what I said. You just don't get
I
it.
know.
It's fine. It's not for everyone.
I actually do get it. It still stinks. It's not good.
Dude, that reaction was funny as hell. Art. Any final thoughts for our shout out our blood donors, and Brian can announce his pick for our free themed pick for next month? I'll shout out our blood donors before we get out of here. We really appreciate y'all. Legendary blood donor Dana Tucker. I don't know how many times you've done it at this point. You've done it a lot. We appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. We appreciate you, Dana. Camper Lover Reoccurring, Nina, the Horror Movie Crew Podcast, Alex Seligson, Michelle Mirza, Chris Mealy, and Steve Schmidt. Camp Counselor Reoccurring, Edwin Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Adrian Aiello, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Brooke Maley, Heather Superdoc, Jennifer Davis to me, Too Close to Home Pod, Dana Tucker, Cole McAlexander, Max K, and Madison Arzola. Really appreciate y'all. Takes a huge burden off of us, makes our lives a lot easier, and we can't thank you enough. Brian, you announce your pick for free month next month?
Yeah, actually, whenever we did Thanksgiving, this had been on my list for a while, but whenever we reviewed Thanksgiving, it just really made me be like, man, I want to finally pick it. And we had a free month coming up. So for my free month, I picked 2007's Death Proof, Quentin Tarantino's grindhouse part of that flick there. I laugh. I love that movie. I think it's fantastic. We're doing the hour and 27-minute version one. Apparently, there's about 50,000 versions of this damn film. But the hour and 27-minute version is the one we are doing if you guys want to watch it before we review it. And there you go. Hope you guys like it. It is a car movie, though. And I think it was a Mike that doesn't like car movies, so we'll see.
I've seen it.
No. Okay.
I've seen it. Also, you mentioned us watching it before we review it. According to some people on this show, I don't do that, so it's fine.
All right, last one of the year. Last one of the year.
Breaking
I'm
up.
sorry, brother.
I'm breaking up.
I was
I love
actually
you, buddy.
talking about the fans who were watching it.
I know.
not
I'm just
us.
kidding, buddy. I'm sorry I had to. Last one of the year, last one ever. Here we go. We're turning over
All right.
a new Ryan Leaf here in 2025.
Do Ryan Leaf.
Ryan Leaf.
All right. Hey, we appreciate y'all listening. We'll be back next week.
Johnson & Johnson, a family company. Jason X.
Just want to remind everybody,